The Brady Bunch premiered in 1969 and lasted 5 seasons before being canceled in 1974. A number of spin-offs were attempted both during the original run and after it, but none of these spin-offs were nearly as successful as the original. Join Facts First as we take a look at the Brady Bunch spin-offs that flopped. The first Brady spin-off was The Brady Kids. The Brady Kids was an animated series produced by Filmation that premiered to the public in 1972. It revolved around the children of the Brady family, and it also was aimed at an audience of children. Because of this, the show didn't receive quite the same level of attention as its parent series. Today, The Brady Kids is all but forgotten. The cartoon initially featured all 6 of the Brady Kid actors voicing their respective characters, though several of them opted not to return once the show was renewed for a second season. That second season was the last, with only 22 episodes of the series being produced in total. Once it was evident the Brady Kids was a failure, the Brady Bunch creator Sherwood Schwartz went about trying to create another cash cow of his successful series. The Brady Kids ended in 1974, and that was the same year the Brady Bunch aired a backdoor pilot meant to lead into another spin-off series. That was called Kelly's Kids, and it aired during the 5th and final season of the Brady Bunch. It was the 109th episode of the series overall, and it was certainly an outlier due to the fact that it involved so many random characters. The episode introduced the characters of Ken and Kathy Kelly, who are the Brady's neighbors. These 2 characters want to adopt a child, and they do so. But the child they adopt ends up missing his friends from the orphanage. Because of this, the Kellys are then inspired to adopt the child's friends as well. Kelly's Kids didn't lead to a spin-off series. The 3 children that the Kellys adopt are all different races, which is a fact that doesn't sit well with another new neighbor the Bradys suddenly have. Her name is Mrs. Payne, and she's a racist. Mrs. Payne harasses the new family, which caused the 3 multiracial children to flee to the Brady house seeking solace. The good people that they are, the Bradys quickly get to the heart of the matter. Given that Kelly's Kids was intended as a backdoor pilot, it's one of only 2 episodes of The Brady Bunch to be scripted by series creator Sherwood Schwartz. The other one was the pilot. Though Sherwood didn't often pen scripts for the show, he exerted his influence a great deal. Sherwood later used a similar concept in the 1986 series Together We Stand. Following the airing of Kelly's Kids, The Brady Bunch only lasted for around a dozen more episodes before being canceled at the end of its 5th season. In fact, the last episode of The Brady Bunch to play in the show's original primetime slot was a rerun of Kelly's Kids. The performers who played the Kellys in the episode were Ken Berry and Brooke Bundy. In real life, Ken Berry was married to the actress who portrayed the worker at the adoption home, and the couple had actually adopted a few children of their own. The Brady Bunch Hour lacked Sherwood Schwartz. A few years after the Brady's cancellation, the show would be revived by way of the Brady Bunch Hour. The Brady Bunch Hour was a short-lived variety series that aired between 1976 and 77. Though Sherwood Schwartz granted permission for his characters to be used for the variety show, he had no direct creative involvement. Because of this, the Brady Bunch Hour stands as the only spin-off of the Brady Bunch that Sherwood Schwartz didn't have direct creative control over. Sid and Marty Krofft produced the Brady Bunch Hour, and those who are familiar with their work know that this meant the variety series would have a very campy tone. Before we tell you more, be sure to give this video a like and subscribe to Factsverse if you haven't already.
Let's talk about the sponsor for today's video, Aura. Aura is an all-in-one solution to protect you from identity theft online. It includes identity theft protection, fraud monitoring, a VPN, password management, and antivirus software, all wrapped up into one easy-to-use app. If you're not using every single one of these tools to protect yourself, you're going to have a weak spot. It's like making sure your front door is locked, but leaving your back door wide open for intruders. Aura continuously monitors the dark web for any of your personal information, and they'll send you an alert the moment they find anything. I was shocked to find out that several of my login credentials were found on the dark web, and I wouldn't have known this without Aura. If you're active online, it's nearly impossible to protect all of your personal information unless you're using a tool like Aura. This is exactly why there are so many victims of cybercrime and identity theft. In fact, identity theft is so common, there's a new victim every 14 seconds. That means at least 3 people have had their identity stolen since I started talking about Aura in this video. So if you want to protect yourself and your family from identity theft, go to aura.com/factsverse. By visiting this URL or clicking the link in the description, you can get a 14-day free trial of Aura and start getting protection today.
Mike Brady was keen on the new variety format. The Brady Bunch Hour featured all the original main cast members with the exception of Eve Plumb. Eve, who played Jan Brady on the original series, wanted to return, but she wasn't willing to commit to as many episodes as the network wanted. The show only lasted for 9, which Eve likely would have been willing to do. The Brady Bunch Hour started off as a one-off special, but it was so successful it resulted in a series order. In total, only 8 more episodes of the series were produced. It wasn't just a simple variety series, but it actually continued the Brady Bunch's story. In the show, the Brady family itself decides to move to California and perform in an in-universe variety series, but no subsequent spin-offs would ever reference this fact. It wasn't all that difficult to talk most of the cast members into reprising their roles. Robert Reed had memorably expressed disdain about how bored he was with the Brady Bunch, but he ended up agreeing to perform in the Brady Bunch Hour because he liked the change of pace. It wasn't hard for Florence Henderson to be talked into coming back, as she was the most experienced of the cast members when it came to singing and dancing. Barry Williams was coming from Broadway. Barry Williams was actually working on Broadway at the time, and because of this, Sid and Marty Krofft promised the actor he would get increased screen time on the variety series. Christopher Knight was the most nervous of the original cast members, as he had the most limited experience with singing and dancing. Mike Lookinland was another actor who didn't want to come back to reprise his role. He tried to get off the hook passively by asking for twice the salary he'd been offered. To his shock, this resulted in salaries being raised for all the cast members. Mike ended up reprising the role of Bobby Brady, though he often had to be pepped up by on-screen mother Florence Henderson. The final returning cast member was Ann B. Davis, who played the Brady's maid. Ann had become a born-again Christian since the Brady Bunch, abandoning Hollywood to work in a Colorado church. She reprised her role with the stipulation that she could return to her church work for several days out of every week. How Geri Reischl became the fake Jan. When Eve Plumb refused to commit the way the network wanted, a performer named Geri Reischl was cast to portray Jan Brady. The show wasn't a major flop, but it's commonly derided nowadays due to its campy tone. After 9 episodes, it was over and done with. There were 2 more failed Brady continuations. A few years after the Brady Bunch Hour's end, a new continuation of the Brady Bunch came into being. This time, it had Sherwood Schwartz's involvement. The new spin-off premiered in 1981. It was called The Brady Brides. Its pilot was actually a made-for-TV movie called The Brady Girls Get Married. Though the pilot film featured all the main cast members from the Brady Bunch returning to reprise their roles, the main series only featured Marcia, Jan, and their husbands. This time, Eve Plumb came back to play Jan, but the show only lasted 10 episodes before being canceled. The Brady Girls Get Married continued to be aired on television over the course of the 80s and 90s. In 1990, Sherwood Schwartz came up with an idea for another spin-off of the Brady Bunch. This time, it was a 1-hour-long melodramatic series. Sadly, this change of tone didn't do much to garner new interest. The Bradys featured all the main cast members except Maureen McCormick. Instead, Lee Ayres was cast in the role of Marcia. Maureen opted out because she had recently given birth to her daughter, whose name is Natalie. The Bradys was even less successful than the Brady Brides, with the show being canceled after 6 episodes. Most blame the demise on the series on the fact that it was airing in the same time slot as Full House and Family Matters. Now it's time to hear from you. Did you watch any of these spin-offs? Let us know in the comments section below. And before you go, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to Facts First if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content.